So you walk into work one morning and there's an RFQ or a request for quote waiting for you in your inbox. Hey, today's a good day. You take a look at the drawings, you send out your quote. A little later that day, you get another RFQ come through. Today's a great day. You open up the drawings and they're the exact same parts. What's up, guys? Ian Sandusky from Lakewood Machine and Tool back here again for Practical Machinist. And today on Machine Shop Talk, we're going to be diving into the Practical Machinist forums to cover a situation that seems like it would be rare, but actually comes up more than you think. But before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications below to make sure you never miss a video. Let's get into it. Okay guys, so as promised today, we are going to be tackling a bit of a tricky situation and one that does tend to happen more than you may think. Situation, to put it very bluntly, is you get the same RFQ from two different companies, either in the same week or in the same year or ever, but same parts, two companies. To quickly cover the scenario that was put forth by the person who came on the Practical Machinist forums, this is what happened to them, and this is why they came on to ask the question. They were on the shop management and ownership subforum of the Practical Machinist forums, and they described themselves as what you'd typically think of as a pretty typical job shop. So, you know, short run production, medium run production, prototyping. And recently, they had been contacted by a company I'm going to call the Space Company. So it's a company that produces space parts. And they were building some kind of rover. So this company got in touch with the Posters company, the guy who came on the Practical Machinist forums, and had some parts they wanted done. It took a little bit of back and forth with a few design changes for manufacturability, but they solidified the design, they quoted it out, they made the parts, they shipped the parts, they were accepted, everybody seemed happy. Great. So about a week goes by, they get another RFQ from the Space Company. Again, same kind of thing. Seems like it might need a little modification, you know, no big deal. They quote out the parts, you know, go through the modification a little bit, don't hear back. What happens then is about a week after that, they get another RFQ from a company I'm going to call the Big Company. This is apparently they describe it as a very well-known, very large company in their area. And this big RFQ comes with an NDA or a non-disclosure agreement. Now what an NDA is, in case we haven't covered that yet, it's a pretty typical document that you have to sign for certain big companies that under, you know, force of law swears you to secrecy. So you can't disclose you're working with this company, you can't post pictures of it, you can't tell anybody what you're doing. This is common for trade secrets, this is common for aerospace, this is common for a lot of things. So this is not out of left field. They go ahead, they sign the NDA. Yep, we won't say anything under threat of getting sued. They get the drawings from the Big Company, they open them up, and they're the exact same drawings they just quoted out for the Space Company. So the big thing they came on with was, what do I do here? They thought about, this is the poster speaking here, they said that they thought about going directly to the Space Company and saying, hey guys, we did this work before. You know, was there some kind of problem with pricing? Did you not like the quality? Was my delivery too long? You know, let's sort this out to cut out the middleman, and then we can work directly. The other reason they said that this was kind of important is because these drawings seem to need design changes. They wanted to cut out the middleman so they could talk directly to the customer, to avoid the game of broken telephone. You know, the more people you have in a communication chain, the more chance for something to get miscommunicated. So that's what they were saying. The second thing that they were thinking about was that this big company, you know, they're a very well-known company. They probably have a lot of other work to do. So they're kind of between a rock and a hard place because they don't want to cut the middleman out, because they would also like the Big Company as a customer, because they clearly work with a lot of industries. They might have more work for this small shop than just the space company. So, their ultimate scenario they put forward was to somehow do the work directly for the space company on this job, but also get the big company as a customer. That's their pie in the sky scenario. Now, this whole situation here may sound like a rare scenario due to some crossed wires, but you'd be surprised how often this happens. At my own shop, I've had this happen more times than I can count over the years. Either getting a big company like the one described here, where I get drawings with the company name has been whited out, and I do work for big company forever, and then I have a smaller company come by and it's the same parts. Basically, big company was middlemaning for this small company, or vice versa. I do work for company A forever, and then all of a sudden I get drawings from company B. It happens. It's something you're gonna have to navigate. So, it's good to get comfortable with this kind of situation. It can get very tricky when you have a chance to cut out the middleman, because clearly, what do middlemen do? Middlemen take requirement from company A to vendor company C, their company B in the middle, and all they do is mark it up. So if you can cut out that middleman, you may be able to get, because middleman may sub that work out to 8 different shops. Who's cheapest on this part? Who's cheapest on this part? So you may be getting bottom of the barrel stuff. If you can go direct to the company, you may be able to get better pricing. You may be able to, charge what the middleman is charging, so 20 to 30% higher, and you get to keep that money. And now you have a direct line to the customer. It's very appealing, but it's very tricky. If you get caught cutting out the middleman, that middleman now is done with you. And any other work that they have is now not coming your way. So it's something you very heavily need to weigh against each other. So to go back to the poster, there were a lot of very good responses from the forum. I think I've said it before a million times, but if you ever have a question about machining or the business, go to the Practical Machinist forums. The people there have centuries of combined business ownership, machining, technical experience. So it's a great place to go get information. And that's why I always try to highlight what they're saying, because a lot of times it's something I may not have even thought of. So to highlight their responses, the first thing that someone said that I thought was incredibly important, that I actually missed at first, was the person who put this question up mentioned they signed an NDA with the big company. Now, they didn't mention if they had signed a company with NDA with a small company, but there is an in-force signed NDA with this big company. Even if they wanted to, in this scenario, they cannot, under threat of being sued, go to the small company and say, hey, space company, big company is actually subbing out your work. Why don't we cut them out? That is now, I don't know if the term is technically illegal, but it's a suable offense. When it comes to NDAs, you have to remember, they're a contract. You cannot play around with them. Not only can you risk, so let's say this order is for $10,000. You go break the NDA, talk to the customer. You may now be sued and lose against the company suing you for $100,000. Even the money aside, if you get caught breaking NDAs, no matter how big this industry can seem at times, small industry. People talk, people know each other. If you're known as someone who breaks NDAs, especially if it goes to court, your reputation is shot. You're not going to be able to do work for anybody that cares about whether their stuff gets out or not. And when we talk about IP theft, when we talk about everything that goes in there, NDAs and IP are a very, very important thing. So you do not want to get caught breaking it. The second good piece of advice I saw there was to simply quote out the big shop at the more or less exact same price as the small shop. The conventional knee-jerk wisdom here would be, well, I want to go direct to the customer. I want the customer to the space company to see how cost-effective we are. I'm going to quote out the big customer up here, and I'm going to keep my pricing at the space company here, so that when he gets the quote, when the space company gets the quote from the big company, they're going to come direct to me anyway. That is an idea and something you can do. But now the big company is going to say, wow, this shop over here has no idea what they're doing. Why are they quoting out a $100 part at $500? I don't want them as part of my vendor network. They don't know what they're doing. Remember, the situation this guy who came on and posted said would be optimal was to get the big company as a customer. Here's the thing. If I quote out to the space company at $100 and I quote out to the big company at $102, maybe I changed the last two numbers just to mix it up a little. Big company and the space company are both going to net my company the same amount of billables. The only thing that's different is now space company is going to have to pay the markup from this company that's subbing it out. But now big company also knows this is what my price point is. This is a reasonable price. Now I might be on their vendor list. It makes a lot more sense. There's another thing that was pointed out there that I thought was really important is when you get double RFQs, like this, where it's the same part. Again, a knee-jerk reaction is to go, space company, what are you doing? I thought we had a good relationship here. I thought I did honest work for honest pay. What's wrong with you? Why are you bottom feeding? Why are you looking for a cheaper source? There's a lot of reasons that aren't just money that this can happen. Maybe the big company in this scenario got a package with 100 different parts, 98 of which your company can't even do. So they just got the whole package from the space company, and now they're going to try to sub out the parts that either they can't or don't want to bother doing. That's one scenario. Maybe space company has a new thing that just came in that they need ISO inspection on everything, and they know you don't have that AS9100 or whatever it may be inspection at your shop. But big company has that certification. So now big company can get the work done by your shop, inspect it, certify it, and send it off. There are a lot of different reasons why this can come up. So that initial almost angry reaction about someone bottom feeding, it's not valuable to anybody. So if you're giving competitive pricing to both companies, you're really setting yourself up to continue doing work for both companies. Might you only now be getting work middlemaned by a space company? Yes, but maybe now big company sends you 10 other RFQs every week. The only scenario that you'd have to really kind of weigh this is if you quote the same price out for the big company and the space company, and big company tells you you need to reduce by 30%. That's a scenario where now you're going to have to weigh, is taking a hit on this, because I was already going to make this money if I did it direct. If I take this, am I going to get more work? Am I willing to take that risk? Am I willing to do this for less than I thought in order to get more? And in no case do you want to break that NDA and go back, even if you say no. Essentially, it's just a bad bounce. You have to kind of cut yourself out of it at that point. In any case, guys, I'd like to know in the comments below, have you ever been through this scenario? How did you handle it? Were NDAs involved? Let us know in the comments below so we can all learn together. And as always, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications below to make sure you never miss a video. Thank you very much for watching, guys. You take care.